Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was elected President of the United States a ridiculous 4 times in a row. I mean, leave some for the rest of us. But by his 4th term, FDR's health was falling apart. He dealt with high blood pressure, heart disease, and secretly had polio, which left him paralyzed from the waist down. Oh, and on top of all that, he had to deal with the stress of the Great Depression and a small conflict called World War II. Pretty crazy. So in his 4th term, FDR suffered a massive stroke while posing for a portrait at his Georgia retreat. His last words were, "I have terrific pain in the back of my head." Which means VP Harry Truman became the next president, and he lived for several more decades until he was hospitalized at 88 years old from pneumonia. Truman's condition worsened as multiple organs failed and he slipped into a coma. And because he was in a coma, no last words were recorded when he died. On the other hand, we know the exact last words of Dwight D. Eisenhower, and they were pretty direct. After a long history of heart attacks and strokes, Eisenhower was hospitalized at the famous Walter Reed Hospital. He ultimately died from congestive heart failure, with his last words being, "I want to go. God take me." Sometimes presidents are ready to go, while others are taken far too soon. Like President John F. Kennedy, who was famously riding in an open motorcade in Dealey Plaza when a sniper's bullet struck his head, killing him in an instant. Now, we're not going to get into all the theories about who really killed JFK, but most believe the main dude responsible was Lee Harvey Oswald, who was murdered himself just 3 days later, making things even more suspicious. But before the assassination, Nellie Connolly was sitting in the middle row when she told JFK, "Mr. President, you can't say Dallas doesn't love you." And JFK responded, "No, you certainly can't," just seconds before he was shot. At just 46 years old, Kennedy was the youngest president ever killed in American history. And the man that took his place was Lyndon B. Johnson, who died 10 years later when he had a massive heart attack at his Texas ranch. And as he felt it come on, he grabbed the telephone and said, "Send Mike immediately," referring to his Secret Service agent. But it was too late. Those were his final words as he dropped dead. Now, Richard Nixon died in a similar fashion. Famous for dealing with Watergate and getting impeached, dude lived a pretty stressful life. But Nixon didn't die until he was 82. After suffering a massive stroke in his home in New Jersey, Nixon yelled, "Help!" That was his last word as he was rushed to the hospital and slipped into a coma before finally passing. But I wonder if that was more stressful than the time he resigned from being the president.